First, we introduced you to Decanty Kofa Sawyer back in 2014, shortly after her husband died of Ebola during the outbreak in West Africa. Patrick Sawyer, who was in Liberia at the time, was the first American citizen to die from the disease. He left behind his wife and 3 young daughters. 2.5 years later, we find out how Decanty is turning her grief into action.
I think about him all the time, whenever we're doing anything. I think about him. And people who know me and know the work we're doing, they think about Patrick. And, I think it's been a driving force, not just for me, but also for folks who want to help, so that something like this never ever happens again.
Nearly 2.5 years have passed since Ebola claimed the life of Patrick Sawyer, an American citizen and Coon Rapids resident who had returned to work as a government official in his home country of Liberia. His wife Decanty and young daughters Ava, Mia, and Bella were left behind. Only Ava, the oldest, remembers her father.
I hope he's watching down at me at heaven, and he'll learn how sad I feel without him.
Patrick was often away, but Ava says she knew it was important for him to help Liberians in need.
It was really important because I felt like even though my dad wasn't here, I felt like he was here with me.
And you still feel that way?
Yeah.
Patrick's death forced Decanty to explain to her daughters what happened and why he's not coming home.
So that was tough, telling her, and just over the past 2 years going through that with her. I just kind of follow her lead. Whenever she wants to talk about it, we do. And when she don't, I just kind of try to make life as normal as possible for her. Bella, the 3-year-old now, just recently started asking about her dad, because she figured she should have one. So why isn't he around? And she even asked me more recently if she had a dad. And so those conversations are going on with her, and that daddy's in heaven, and just how does a 3-year-old wrap her head around that?
Decanty knew it would take more than thoughts to battle the Ebola crisis.
Her method of grieving, whatever you want to call it, was to dive in and to stand up an outreach and a communications vehicle back to Liberia and among the Liberian community here in Minnesota to make sure that people had the information they needed about Ebola, how to stay safe.
I can do something now. I can fight back. I can be a part of the solution. I can help make it stop. And so that's what I did. That's what I started to do.
Soon after Patrick died, she formed the Kofa Foundation, offering education, funding, and disinfectant supplies for safe practices and health to decrease the spread of the disease. According to the World Health Organization, more than 28,000 people are believed to have contracted Ebola, killing more than 11,000 in West Africa. Decanty says the actual numbers are much higher.
Liberia lost over 20,000 people, like way over that number, to the Ebola crisis, and a lot of them were adults. So the children, a lot of those children are left behind, without their moms, without their dads. Entire households were wiped out. I mean, we heard stories about children being alone in the house with corpse, and workers had to go in to get them out.
Months later, after Liberia was declared Ebola-free, the Kofa Foundation's mission shifted to help those still feeling the impact of the disease.
Some of these children have no relatives left, and even some of the relatives that are left behind don't want to take them in because of the stigma, thinking they're going to contract Ebola from these kids still, even though these kids are totally Ebola-free. And 2, Liberia is such a poor country that they can barely feed themselves and their kids, let alone bring in a relative kid. So just out of sheer survival, they're not able to take them in.
They might feel sad like I do because I lost my dad from Ebola.
As a mom and watching at my 3 children every day and just seeing how they're affected, I couldn't imagine what those kids must be going through, and I just had to do something, be a part of helping to take care of them as I'm taking care of mine here.
With no free education, Liberian girls face even greater challenges.
In a country like Liberia, if the family have to choose between a girl and a boy going to school, they're going to choose the boy, their son, to go to school, and that happens commonly.
The Kofa Foundation partnered with More Than Me Academy, an all-girls school in one of the poorest neighborhoods in Liberia. The foundation is helping to cover tuition, meals, and school supply costs for students who lost their parents in the outbreak. To get the word out and raise funds, Decanty and the foundation hosted the Humanitarian Gala at the Coon Rapids Civic Center.
We've been able to help out some of these children.
There's no paid staff. So it's important for us to give thanks to the people who help us and work with us and help us get the word out. So that's what this dinner is all about.
At 8 years old, Ava's already thinking of helping others who are also impacted by Ebola.
We're here to give the children who don't have their moms or dads a chance to have the things that they need.
She's very aware of the situation and knows why mommy's doing this, and I think in her way she does it to honor her father as well. So it's just, for me, it's a blessing that she has such a heart and wants to be somewhat connected to this work.
Kofa also works with youth here in Anoka County by encouraging community service and building positive relationships between police and young people.
In the local community, we're doing a lot of outreach here around malaria, HIV/AIDS, and working with a multitude of partners both in the health community, health departments, as well as educational communities, colleges.
In a divisive time, the Kofa Foundation is getting and giving help to those who need it and improving conditions from Coon Rapids to Monrovia.
Being a mother with young children, it feels great to know that we're in a world where I can show them, they can see that people care. Especially with what happened with their father, we got just so many folks that came to our aid just to help comfort us, to help us go through, our grieving process, and then just to see those people also take it a step further to say, what can we do to help with the work that you're doing? Really feels incredible. It speaks to the spirit of the human soul.
And it's also important for the people who have always lived here to see immigrant communities coming together and reaching out to each other and helping each other, and then bringing in also people who have lived here for forever. The feeling you get is there's nothing like it.
Especially with everything that's going on in the world right now and in our country with, especially with the past election and it's almost like the world's coming to an end. No, it's not. These people are evil. No, they're not. Because at the end of the day, when it really matters, people care about each other, and they will be there to support you when you need it. So, and that's been my experience, and it's great to know that exists.
The Kofa Foundation is still looking for volunteers and donations. For more information, head to kofafoundation.net.